All right, what's up, boys? Welcome back to the FFL podcast. I'm back here with Mio for our second edition of the FFL pod. Mio, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I had some chicken skewers for lunch and
Oh,
feeling nice.
feeling spicy. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, ready to talk about some fancy football drafts.
Yeah. So I wanted to open up talking about how this was by far our best draft that we've ever had by like a country mile. And I think the thing that fixed it really well was one, a lot of us met up at Buffalo Wild Wings, and that was a really, really good time. We had I think 8 of the 12 team managers were at the table for that. So that was really, really good. And then having the draft timer be like 10 minutes, I think that fixed so much stuff because we had a unbelievable amount of trades this year. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I was telling you in the pre-show, like 2 years ago, I did the entire draft waiting for food at Rutter's, and it started and finished before I got my food. Because, people would just make their picks, and you'd send a trade offer, and before you could even finish making the trade offer, they already made their pick. That didn't happen this year.
Yeah, it was I really didn't like that. I felt like we would start the draft and about 10 minutes and it'd be the first round is over. Not a single person's trading any picks. There's not any intrigue of even if someone wanted to move up and maybe there would have been a trade to make there, having it at 1 or 2 minutes, no one was going to trade any picks. So you just
couldn't negotiate at all.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think having it in person, you should have seen, dude, all of the literally every single pick that was made after the top 3 that everyone kind of knew was going to happen. After the top 3, when Bryce Young was available at 4, I remember everybody was trying to. Yeah, the top 3 was pretty decided.
No, because number 3, you made that trade.
Oh yeah, well that was prearranged. Fun fact for you guys, that was prearranged. Yeah.
I figured it was prearranged, but so no one else made an offer. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, well, D Money was happy with the offer I gave him. I just gave him a second for 2025. And I don't think he really liked Gibbs anyway. I'm surprised no one else really wanted Gibbs that much. But once I saw the draft capital from the Lions, I was like, I mean, if he, I think the only way he busts is if he's injury prone. That's my biggest concern, being 200 pounds. But yeah.
Yeah. The more I think about Gibbs, the more I'm like, oh man, this could be pretty nasty because Lions' offense is top 5 by basically every metric already.
Right.
And you're basically getting who's probably going to be the lead guy.
Yeah.
Going to be the third down guy.
I think the catches is going to be the key thing. If he can get 50, 60, 70 receptions, he's gonna be nasty.
Oh yeah. Lots of trades. So how you want to do this? You just want to start with 101?
Yeah. So I guess we'll just go through our reaction to the draft. So you have an interesting perspective because I was at the table at Buffalo Wild Wings, but you weren't there. So what was it like for you watching all these trades go down? I'm curious. Were you really surprised?
I don't know, the timer ticked down. I'm like, oh man, something's gonna happen, but I don't know what. Did you guys negotiate in person with everyone else hearing?
Yeah, there was a lot of hey man, I'm gonna text you real quick. Hey man, I have a deal for you. Check your sleeper app. And there was a lot of that going on because I don't think there were times too. The guys can attest to it who were there where we'd be doing some negotiating and someone else from the table would swoop in and send a trade without saying anything, and then that trade would get accepted instead. I think that happened for I think when I'm trying to remember. I think Charbonnet might have been traded that way. I'm trying to remember who that happened for, but there was definitely a couple times where people swooped in and in a surprising way.
That was Omlinator.
Yeah.
Omlinator and D Money made a swap.
Right, yeah, they did.
Or maybe.
Yeah.
Or at least D Money ended up taking Charbs. But
So let's look back. So 101, not very surprising pick from Impervious. Bijan is Bijan. No one. I mean, the only way I could have seen that going differently is if he really, really thought Bryce was gonna be Patrick Mahomes or something. That's really the only reason you go away from Bijan or something. Or Anthony Richardson, yeah.
I'm going to say, because I think if he was weaker at quarterback, I could see him taking A-Rich, just because they're both going to be they both have the potential to be top 3 at their position.
Yeah.
And a top 3 quarterback is just more valuable than a top 3 running back.
Right, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, Superflex.
Yeah, for sure in Superflex, for sure. Yeah, I think Impervious was pretty bought into Bijan, which, like, who can blame him, right?
I mean, I'm pretty bought into Bijan.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of is. So, D-Money, were you surprised that D-Money went Richardson? Because I kind of was.
Really, I wasn't.
Yeah,
in my brain, it was like Bijan and A-Rich are like the top 2.
Okay.
And then there's a little bit of a tier break.
Yeah. See, I'm actually I thought that I was like going to be the biggest Richardson truther, and then it turned out that I think I'm actually lower than him, or lower on him than other people are, because I think there's a really good potential for him to turn into like a Paxton Lynch or something, just like he's obviously more athletic than Paxton Lynch, but like a super athlete who has all the tools but can't put it together, can't read a defense. I think there's a lot of potential for that to happen. I still think he's going to be successful, but I'm just surprised at how many people have him that high. I guess because his potential is crazy, but yeah, I was just a little surprised at how bought in everyone was.
It's a combination, I think, of we all saw what Steichen did with Hurts.
Yeah.
So it's that, plus you don't necessarily, I don't want to say you don't need to be good, but like you don't need to be amazing if you run. Because like he's probably going to be the starter.
Yeah,
unless he's a huge bust, he's going to be a starter next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's just rushing production plus okay passing, makes him a top level, fantasy quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the rushing will always get him somewhere, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like it would not shock me if he put up like Tim Tebow stats in like the first year, where he's like literally passing for like 100 yards, but has like 100 and a touchdown on the ground or something, or Justin Fields numbers exactly.
Justin Fields,
yeah. Which Justin Fields was pretty good last year, but it's funny how many people are in on Richardson who are not in on Fields, even though they've probably going to put up very similar stat lines. But
I don't know. The Bears definitely want to pass more this season.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Were you surprised I went Gibbs at 3 when I got 3?
No, because I think you needed running back more than any other position.
Yeah, I really was thinking of just staying at 4 and taking JSN for a while, but then I just looked at my team and I was like, man, I have a lot of like 23-year-old, 24-year-old receivers who are going to be around for a little bit. And at running back, I have Brees, but I have Eckler, and Eckler's 28. And even though Eckler's a freak,
Brees had the ACL.
And Brees had the ACL, yeah. So I was like, if Brees and Eckler, don't come back, I don't think Ramondre is going to be around for like 3 years. I don't know, but I'm a Ramondre truther, but I still am a little realistic about him. So I think Gibbs was the right pick. Even if
running backs get injured more than anyone else. In my opinion, you need more to have more running backs on your roster than wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we had we had Bryce go to Lamarvelous, which made a lot of sense. Lamarvelous had no QBs.
Also shout out to D-Money, just working back, and then he ends up still getting this guy. I think at 1-6.
Yeah, he did.
So QJ isn't my guy, but he very clearly squeezed as much as he could and got his guy. So
exactly, yeah. No, that was definitely what he wanted. Yeah, yeah. I'm not a QJ believer. D-Money knows that. But he went to a nuclear situation. Like, I mean, if he ends up hitting and he's really good and he's with Herbert for the next 10 years, I mean, that is massive. So, yeah. And of course, you had JSN with Anderson, which I think everyone kind of, for the most part, thought he was the number 1 receiver in this draft. His situation is interesting because I feel like I really like the Seahawks organization.
I
think he's going to be good, but I do worry about how long Geno is going to be their starter, and also him being the third in the pecking order. Kind of like in the short term, kind of scares me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Long term, I think he'll be fine.
yeah,
And you clearly think that Gibbs is worth 125 second over JSN
right.
at least.
Yeah, it's really like positional value too. Like we had two very clear cut running backs in this draft, and everybody else is like, I have no idea. So I didn't think I could get another running back either. But I actually felt confident to get a receiver in the second or third that I felt he's not going to be JSN, but there's some potential there. Yeah.
I don't know, and he's probably going to spend a decent portion, like after Lockett. I don't want to say falls off, but falls off. He is like 30. He's going to have DK is going to be drawing a bunch of coverage, so he's going to get a bunch of one-on-ones too. So it's just a really good position long term.
Yeah, no, I think JSN's going to be great long term. The only thing I worry about is even if Geno is pretty good for the rest of his career, he's still like 32. So, I mean, they'll probably squeeze 5 years out of him if he stays good.
I mean, that doesn't matter. Quarterback, you know?
Yeah, not really.
Brady's played till he was 45.
That's true.
Why can't Geno? Why can't Geno?
Yeah, that's true. All right, so Stroud goes to TDS, which this one we have to talk about. Because there was a trade that this kind of shook up. I remember this happening at the table, and I was like, "What in the world?"
I think it makes sense if you consider that he didn't give up a pick.
Yeah, who did DK go to? The Marvelous, right?
Yeah, DK went to Marvelous.
Yeah,
DK Pacheco.
Yeah, so this trade was DK Metcalf and Isaiah Pacheco for CJ Stroud, basically. So you have two known commodities. One of them is the freakiest receiver in the league in DK Metcalf. So he's obviously going to be great. You have Pacheco, who we both probably are aligned that he's like a 1 year rental potentially. But he could be more than that. But I mean, it's just, draft capital stuff says that he probably won't be great forever. And then you get CJ Stroud,
and also that the Chiefs just don't run the ball.
Right. Yeah, that's true too. So you basically got two known starters for this year for Stroud. So it really comes down to is Stroud going to be good? That is going to determine what happens here. Because if Stroud ends up putting up numbers like Justin Herbert or something, then this trade will probably work out for TDS in the long run. But
I don't know. I feel like Stroud would have to be like a top 8 quarterback.
Yeah.
To work. And maybe it'll happen, but that's such a high outcome. One of the interesting things about fantasy football is that like a top 3 quarterback is worth more than a top 3 running back.
Right.
But in my opinion, like a top like in the 12 to 15 range quarterback is worth less than a 12 to 15 range wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because whenever you get to the playoffs and you're playing all the good teams, they all have 2 top 10 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're at a disadvantage. But
yeah, no, that is true.
The 12 to 15 receivers are still going to be worth a lot against those guys. If
you had to put money on it, do you think Stroud or Bryce Young puts up more top 10 seasons in the first 3 years here? Top 10 fantasy seasons.
I'd say Bryce, just because I think
it's tough. I feel like it's tough for me too. I like Bryce's.
I guess they don't, but neither of them really have weapons.
Yeah, depending on how you feel about Mingo, we'll talk about later. But yeah, pretty much not right now. Yeah, Stroud's going to be put through the ringer, man. They don't have anybody
I don't know, they have a surprisingly good offensive line.
That's true.
They still got Tunsil. They got.
Yeah.
But Carolina has a good offensive line, so.
Yeah, I feel like they're just going to run Dameon Pierce a lot first year.
And probably the Panthers will do the same thing with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, so the next pick was Hendon Hooker. Now this was a big. All right, I have the inside scoop for this one. Okay, you ready? So we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I knew the whole time Jay Neihart, he loved Hendon Hooker. Okay, he did not hide that from anybody, and Omlinator also loved Hendon Hooker, and so they both Now here's the backstory. Okay, we've been in a million fantasy leagues together, the three of us.
Yeah.
And the four of us actually. And Jason reaches for his guys. He's never going to play the ADP game. He will go get his guy. I think Omlinator thinks that had Hooker been at 10, that would have been Jay Nyhart's pick. So I think in our league, that's where he had to take him if he wanted him. That's just knowing your league stuff right there.
That's knowing your league, but
yeah.
I think we discussed this last podcast, but I'm not a.
You're not a Hooker believer, yeah.
I'm not a Hooker believer.
Yeah, do you think that he'll start?
Like the 4th round? Okay, let me put it this way. I think there's a higher chance that Will Levis has a top 12 season than there is that Hooker starts more than 5 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Hendon Hooker might spend the entire year on the bench, and potentially there is a potential that Jared Goff just doesn't lose that job and that he's going to just be their quarterback for the next 5 years or so. And that Hooker never really sees the field.
I feel similarly, but
yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
Hooker's fun.
He got his guy, and whenever you look at the trade, it was the 112 and the 212, so it's not like he paid all that much to jump up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, think of it like that, whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in the guy.
Yeah, I really don't like his landing spot either. I would have been more in had he went somewhere else, but yeah.
If he had gone to the Rams.
Yeah, I could have seen something. So we got Jordan Addison. Now this one was Kansas' pick. It was traded to Impervious, and there was a lot of just a general theme of the draft. I felt like receiver was. We didn't have a ton of top end talent this year, but we had a lot of depth. I felt that there was receivers going in the 3rd round that I felt like could have easily been high seconds.
Impervious just. Now I look at Impervious's draft, I think I liked all the picks.
Yeah, he did a good job. He always drafts pretty well.
Obviously, whenever you have the one slot,
mm-hmm.
You should get good players, but
mm-hmm.
I did a good job.
Yeah, so Impervious ends up with
Addison
and Bijan, and I think who
Zay
else?
Flowers. Zay Flowers.
Oh yeah, he had Zay Flowers at 2-1, and then Downs at 3-1, who we'll talk about later too. Yeah, so he had a great draft actually. So yeah, Addison, I think that's a great pick. I think you think he's probably going to be their second receiver by the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel too. I feel like he'll probably jump Osborne, and Thielen's not there, so.
I mean, Osborne's pretty good, but
yeah,
I think Addison will take over eventually.
Yeah, and they'll probably run 3 wide anyway, so they'll probably all start.
And then, oh, that's true. We're gonna throw 700 times in this season.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
The other thing is that he's probably gonna spend at least his first contract opposite Justin Jefferson, getting a lot like what Jay said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he's gonna be getting all these favorable coverages.
That is true, yeah. Because what are you gonna do? You're not gonna take safeties off of Justin Jefferson.
And unlike JSN, the Seattle organization is a lot more committed to running the ball than Minnesota is.
Yeah, true.
So he's probably going to get more targets.
Mm-hmm.
I think next season, Addison would probably be the best rookie receiver, but long term, I'd still take JSN.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
unless Quentin Johnson goes nuclear, but
I was gonna say
risk I'm willing to take.
I think Quentin Johnston is just the mega wild card. I could see him going for 1,010 rookie year pretty easily if he's any good. But I could also see him I just don't think he's. I don't like the talent very much, but that's just me. I don't know. I'm sure in a year, if I'm wrong, D-Money's going to be sending me this video being hey, what did you say about Quentin Johnston again? So,
old takes exposed.
Old takes exposed, yeah, on Twitter, yeah. All right, so this one, I'm just going to be honest, okay? This next pick, I feel like I watched it happen at the table, okay? Jason was there, and I felt like I watched a man who just lost Hendon Hooker try to figure out how to get the best available value on the board. And
Yeah, he was telling me this.
yeah, and so going Will Levis there does make sense from like a capital perspective. If you want to think about it like that, like you get a quarterback who could be starting next year. That's a valuable pick.
Yeah.
I don't think that Jason really even likes Will Levis that much.
Doesn't.
Yeah,
He
and
told me that.
yeah, and I don't really like Will Levis that much. I've been pretty clear. The guy's a little weird. He eats bananas weird. He does weird stuff online. There's a lot of like just negative mojo about him, and I never really liked his tape that much. He's got a good arm, but
Dynasty as an organization seems like they're about to start a rebuild.
yeah, and I don't know. A high 2 QB has worked out a few times, but just rarely. I don't know.
I don't know. I know you're not a Carr believer, but he was useful.
Yeah,
He
Carr was pretty useful.
And obviously, Jalen Hurts was a high 2.
That's true.
And he worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Who else was a high 2? I think Garoppolo.
I think Garoppolo was like a 2 or a 3 or something. I think you're right. I think it was a 2.
But like it happens sometimes. And I mean,
It does.
if you look at who else was on the board, like Dalton Kincaid,
Mm-hmm.
Charbonnet, Flowers.
Right. It felt like there was definitely like a tier break right there. Like you kind of like all of the top talent after Levis was pretty much like these are all the guys you were hoping for in the second round coming up.
I believe he needed a quarterback still.
Yeah. Well, he does he have Rodgers again?
Remember.
Or did he trade Rodgers? I never knew who Jason's QBs are. I know he's got Dak. Okay, he does have Rodgers right now. And Malik Willis, Brock Purdy, and he's got Brady on his team still. A 45-year-old.
Just in case.
The top thing says, certain he'll remain retired. Okay, Tom, sure, yeah, sure. Certain. But anyway, yeah, so Will Levis, that's a total wild card to me. I don't know how I feel about that yet.
I think for like the 110, it's fine.
Yeah, for the 110, yeah.
Like,
This was not also like this wasn't one of those drafts where you had like a ton of top end talent anyway.
Like it's very much a swing for the fences pick, which is kind of.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
And then you move on to Kansas going Dalton Kincaid, which I have to check out Kansas's tight end situation because
he has Mark Andrews.
I was gonna say he has Mark Andrews, and I thought he had someone else too, didn't he?
Later in the draft, he gets Mike Meyer.
Oh yeah, that's right. He took Mayer as well. Yeah. So Kansas very deep at tight end. Now I did read all the.
I feel like this is a theme of Kansas.
Yeah, I did read all the hype pieces though. Maybe you read these too, Luke, about all of the hype pieces about he's going to be like second in targets. He's going to play in the slot. He's not really a tight end. Have you read a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely helps their offense in that.
Yeah. If you do get the second target in Buffalo, that's a good pick. I mean,
the biggest problem they had last year in Buffalo was that their short game.
Yeah, the
short passing game wasn't very bad, especially after Allen's elbow injury.
Yeah,
and so like, I think he helped. Like he's what their offense needed.
Yeah,
and so like, it wouldn't surprise me if he smashed.
He could be really good. He looks the part too.
I think Kansas he had a really good draft. Like Kansas did and Purvius did. I just think Shane Neihart did, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So this next pick, Charbonnet, was 1,000% D-money trusting the spreadsheet. 1,000%. This is just straight up spreadsheet. Like Charbonnet is the talented guy on the board. I'm taking him no matter what situation he just fell into. And
I mean,
yeah,
good for him.
I think Charbonnet's good. I don't want any part of Seattle right now. With their backfield.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Because we think Metcalf's going to be good. We think Lockett's going to be good. We think JSN will be like we think all these guys are going to be valuable, and at some point it's like, okay, there's only one ball.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't all get double-digit touches.
right. And I hate to say it, but I feel like the Charbonnet thing, like it probably comes down to an injury, and I just don't know. I just don't know which one's going to get hurt. That's really what it comes down to. I think if both are healthy, they're going to probably each get 12 touches, and whoever scores is who you wanted that week, and that just kind of is what it is. But
I don't know. Charbonnet's probably going to get the passing down work.
See, that people have been saying that, but I feel like if he gets passing work, we're talking like 3 catches maybe, because
That's true.
Because you're still feeding Metcalf, you're still feeding Lockett, you just took JSN.
That's true. That's true.
And they always have like rotational tight ends getting targets too, and yeah, I don't know. I don't want the Seattle pass catcher.
This is probably going to come down to who gets the goal line work.
Oh, and that's gonna be
I don't know.
That's gonna be frustrating. Yeah, but yeah, Charbonnet, had he ended up in like on like the Rams or something, or Chicago or like whatever, that would have been awesome. But yeah, we'll see.
Funny. I was watching the draft in like the second, like the actual NFL draft, and you could just see on my timeline all the fantasy people just going nuts when he went.
Yep. Oh, dude, I was on Twitter. I think I even texted Derek, and I was like, "Oh, Charbonnet just died." But he's trusting the spreadsheet, man. I'll give him props. If Charbonnet works out this year, Derek, you can send this to me.
Hey.
And
he won a ring. I can't.
That's true. He does have the ring right now.
I can't talk about his process.
All right, so 201, we already gave impervious props on Zay Flowers. I think that's a good pick. I think there's a good chance that Zay doesn't have that much volume just because the Ravens don't have. They're going to be bottom 10 in passing volume.
No, probably. they got the new offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't know. I will be shocked if Lamar throws 4,000 yards.
Obviously, like he has to compete with Andrews. He has to compete with OBJ. He has to compete with Bateman.
Yeah, but, Bateman's still there. Yep.
He's still like a first-round pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Flowers is probably going to be a good player, and he's probably going to be a staple in Baltimore. I don't know how much a staple receiver in Baltimore is going to get. That's all it comes down to. But I still think he's a good player. And then you got.
I did offer him a 25 second because I wanted to get the guy who went next. But he wanted Burks. He wanted Burks in exchange, and I said no.
Oh, yeah. So Jay Neihart. I don't remember if Jason traded for this during the draft or not. You'll have to refresh my memory, but
no, he didn't.
Okay, so he had 202, and he goes out and gets A-Chain, who I think was it in the last pod where I was saying like, oh, all I'm wishing for is for the Dolphins to finally get a running back I can root for, and I think you suggested A-Chain.
Yeah, I mean I've been on the A-Chain train. I think I said it in Discord in like March.
Yeah,
they're gonna get A-Chain.
Oh, I love it. I'm so happy. That's all I wanted, man. It's like a Christmas present, you know? I just want to see someone else running the ball other than the 49ers guys.
No,
They're all 49ers guys right now, so yeah. So I think
do you think they're gonna get do you think the Dolphins are gonna get Cook?
I think we're probably
gonna depend on that.
Yeah, I think we're probably in the top we're probably in the top 3 for getting Dalvin. And I think it makes sense. Like we're right on the it's either like championship or bust for us now. So yeah, you go for broke and go get Dalvin Cook if you're the Dolphins. That's gonna hurt A-Chain's fantasy value. But I was kind of in the camp after the pick happened that he'll probably end up in like a 3-man timeshare where 1 week Mostert gets hurt and so he's gonna get a lot of touches, and then 1 week Jeff Wilson gets touches, and it's gonna. I don't think we're ever gonna have like A-Chain getting consistently like 15 touches a game, but we'll see. He's gonna get important touches though, and he's gonna have some sweet take him to the house runs, but yeah, I don't know that he'll ever be like 200 carry guy.
Be one of the great red zone players, but
yeah,
who knows if that'll translate to fantasy.
Right. This one's interesting. We got, I don't know if it was Kendra or Kendre. I always forget how you pronounce it. Kendre Miller, yeah. He has the size and the look of a guy who could take over and make some noise in New Orleans. It's going to come down to the Alvin Kamara stuff. and whether he bounces back or whether he's kind of toasted and roasted now.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah,
Jamal Williams slander.
yeah, Jamal Williams. Yeah, he's actually still pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's a world where Kendre Miller has like fantasy value by the end of the year this year, for sure.
Yeah. Like going forward, I think. I don't know. New Orleans, I felt like, oh yeah, they're gonna have to rebuild soon. I felt like that for feels like a decade, and they never do, and they're always
They're always making stuff happen.
making stuff happen.
Yeah. And then we got Omlinator goes out and gets. Were you in on Jalen Hyatt or no?
I'm not in on any of the Giants.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think the Giants are a mess
They are, yeah.
to analyze. Like, as an offense, they're on the up and up, but looking at their roster and trying to determine, oh yeah, this is where everyone's gonna be is a nightmare.
Yeah, I think the only guy you're really confident about ever is Saquon right now.
Daniel Jones to an extent, and I think Waller.
Yeah. I think now that we know that Daboll wants him to run kind of like they had Josh Allen running, I think that that's made Daniel Jones a lot more appetizing and tolerable or whatever. but
I don't know, they're a fun offense to watch.
Yeah.
Like if you sit down and watch a Giants game, they're fun.
Mm-hmm. I heard a lot of people saying in like the pre-draft that Hyatt had like he was a one-trick pony, but it was like really good at that one trick pretty much, and that's just like going deep. So we'll see if that's what he ends up doing in the NFL too.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got Rashee Rice. This one is really interesting going to LaMarvelous. That guy, if he's any good, could go crazy. The only question is he any good? That's really it.
Yeah, this is a classic Chiefs wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone drafted him high because he could go great.
Yep. Is he Sky Moore or is he Tyreek Hill? We'll find out. Yeah, he's 6'2", 203 pounds, SMU guy. I think it'll be really interesting to see how he does this year. I'm also
classic second round wide receiver, you know.
Yeah.
Either he's going to be a roster clogger in 2 years, or he's going to be good. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, weirdly, I don't know if it feels like this to you, but it feels like the Chiefs are like really bad at drafting wide receivers. I don't know what it is, but like something's going on with their scouting where they haven't been able to hit since Tyreek basically. And maybe it continues with this guy, but we'll see.
I mean, I'm someone who likes it when teams other than the Chiefs win. Pretty grateful for this because if they could draft wide receivers, I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah,
I'm not sure they'd ever lose another game.
Yeah, they already basically don't lose, so yeah. And then we had Kansas, so he got Kincaid and Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer was supposed to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and a lot of people thought he takes over for Darren Waller, so that's cool. So he's going to have some. I
really like this pick. I really like this pick because Las Vegas was very sneakily top 10 in a lot of offensive categories last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. I'd hope so.
Yeah.
They're a sneaky good offense,
mm-hmm.
and then McDaniels, for all his many faults, does know how to design an offense.
He does have many faults,
and so you know, like middle of the second, getting a guy who has as good a chance as any to succeed. Like I think if you would have taken him in like the 202, 203 range, I would have been fine with it. So to get him at 206 is just really good.
Yeah, that's really good value. A lot of people thought he was the best tight end in the draft, even over Kincaid. But Kincaid just goes with a better quarterback. That's all it is. But so the next pick,
don't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo?
I've never been like the biggest Jimmy G guy. He's really good. he's like he's that old school like best game manager there is. Like he's never gonna make anything crazy happen, but he knows how to read a defense and run plays and stuff. So yeah, but these next two picks are my all right. So context at Buffalo Wild Wings, I was trying so hard to trade up into the middle of the second for these two next guys. I spent so much time sending trades to people, texting people, talking to people at the table. I tried everything. I'm not kidding. It was so infuriating. I was trying so hard to trade up into the second round. I was trading anybody on my bench, late picks next year for I was just trying everything, and it was for I really 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 think Jonathan Mingo has some like AJ Brown type potential. He's massive and he's cool and fast, and I don't know. And he went 39. Like he was a pretty high pick, and he's going to play with Bryce Young. So if Bryce Young is good, I do think Bryce Young will be pretty good. He probably won't run or anything, which is why I'm not like huge on him in fantasy, but I think he's gonna be a good like NFL quarterback.
I don't think anyone thinks he's huge.
Yeah. So, man, I wanted Mingo so bad. I tried all day to get into the second round for him, and it didn't work. And so LaMarvelous got Jonathan Mingo, and then absolutely spits in my face because he trades Jonathan Mingo after the draft before he ever touches the field to Darren. Where did this happen? I was so mad.
I don't know. Someone offered me a 26 first for Jonathan Mingo.
This freaking trade, dude.
I'd hit accept before they came to their senses.
Yeah, well, like Darren was trying to get rid of his first round pick, or he always just tried to get rid of all of his picks, and he got rid of all the 26 picks for Mingo, Rice, and then $10. Good one, guys, $10. And so, dude, I was trying to get Mingo. So Darren, if you watch this, trade me Jonathan Mingo, okay? I want my boy, but. Yeah, that one broke my heart. And then right after that, first of all, scouting-wise, how do you feel about Mingo, Luke?
I think I'm less high on him than everyone else.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I watch the tape, man, I was like, this dude is another giant Ole Miss receiver, and the only other two I know are studs.
He might have a little bit of George Pickens in him, where it's all these.
Yeah.
He looks great, and then you look at the stats at the end of the day, and you're like, oh, not much.
Yeah, it is going to come a lot down to what happens with Bryce too. Like if Bryce is really good, then Mingo has a sky high potential and stuff. And then the next pick right after that was the other guy I was trying to get here. So like I was trying to trade up for either one of these guys, but I really like Roschon Johnson, man. I really do. He's 225. He only was a backup because he was behind Bijan Robinson. He just looks awesome. Like I really liked what I was seeing from him. And he goes to a good situation in Chicago where like the door's open for anybody to get touches there. Now that Monty's gone.
Oh, you don't believe in Khalil Herbert?
No, he's good. But he's not like, he's definitely not irreplaceable. And I think even if Herbert's pretty good, if Roschon is as good as I think that he is, he'll take the job from him eventually. Or an injury will happen to somebody and Roschon will get touches. But yeah, at 208, man, if you get a running back who could potentially be the starter next year, who could actually be pretty good and have potential,
especially if Fields takes that next step this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked Roschon and Mingo in the draft, and I'm so mad that I didn't get a chance at either of them. But yeah.
Yeah. Dove kind of quietly picked up some pieces.
Yeah. Like I probably would have
like Kendra Miller might have the starting job next year.
Mm-hmm.
Roschon might have the starting job next year. I think there's a bit more of an outside chance, but Chase Brown might have the starting job next year.
Yeah. So good draft.
Combine that with Caleb Williams, and he might be cooking.
Dove is probably thinking Caleb Williams already. He's probably already thinking about tanking next year, but
lobbying as hard as he can to change it from a lottery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, but so Kansas goes Marvin Mims. I think that's a good pick.
That's That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Kansas had three great picks, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just. I mean, he stayed at 209 and got a really good player at 209. It just honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if Mims had a similar season to Jordan Addison. Like, there's a really good shot that he could, and he got him a whole round later.
I think I trust Cousins more than Wilson at this point, but
yeah. Although a lot of people are trying to blame like if Sean Payton can't fix it, who's going to be able to fix it?
That's true.
And then this is another Jason going to get his boy, going to get his guy. I knew there was no chance, not a chance in the world that Jason was going to leave this draft without Deuce Vaughn. Straight up. There was never a chance it was going to happen. He's a Cowboy. He literally went to the same school as Darren Sproles. Same type of build. I mean, like he's just... And Jason always loved Darren Sproles. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think I said last podcast that I'm a Deuce Vaughn fan.
Yeah.
It's pretty unfortunate for me that he went to the Cowboys, but it's a great story too. It's a great story with his dad working for the scouting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that video was so good. If you guys haven't seen that video, look up Deuce Vaughn's dad calling him for the pick. That was really cool.
I don't know how useful he's going to be fantasy wise.
Yeah.
I think at best he's going to be he's probably going to be like a special teamer / he'll get some.
I think they'll try to work him into like the screen game probably.
Yeah, but that's going to be his ceiling, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Darren Sproles was a very unique player that you just couldn't keep off the field, and we'll see if Deuce is the same guy. But I mean, that's probably the highest bar you could really hope for if you're Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, so maybe he'll be useful.
Mm-hmm.
Like as an injury.
Yeah.
Injury guy a couple times a year, but he got his guy. So.
And then we got Jaden Reed going to Anderson. I have a giant question mark on what the heck the Packers are going to be this year. So I really don't know how to feel about that pick.
Yeah.
He went pretty high though. He went 50th.
He went 50th. But obviously, like Romeo Dobbs is still there.
Mm-hmm.
They got those two tight ends, and then Jordan Love's a question mark.
Yeah.
But, I mean, also we're at the end of the second round.
Yeah. At that point, take your shots.
You're throwing darts.
100%. And then we had.
I was actually really hoping this guy would fall to me at 306.
Who's that? Reed.
I know. The next pick.
Oh, okay. So yeah, next pick to LaMarvelous was Zach Evans, who I was actually.
This was he traded Pacheco and $6 to D Money.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, he did.
For this pick, and I think a third next year. I don't know whose third it is, but like a third next year.
Yeah, the Zach Evans trade up, man.
Which, I mean, I'm pretty high on Zach Evans. I was hoping Zach Evans would fall.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be at least the number 2, and like depending on how Akers works out,
yeah,
he may take over the job.
Yeah, Akers is always on thin ice over there, so there's a good chance that Zach Evans hits the field this year. And then I think
that could work out. That could work out, but
yeah,
for Pacheco, that's a pretty steep price.
I know. That's what I was thinking. The price that he paid to do that. I mean, you better be praying every night by your bedside that Evans touches the field.
Yeah. $6 really put him over the top too.
Yeah. So then we got 301, Josh Downs to Impervious. I think that's a really good pick for 301. I mean, there's a chance Downs is a really big deal in Indy. So.
I mean, I probably would have taken Downs over Vaughn, Reed, or Evans. So.
Yep, me too.
To get him out.
Yep. And then flying through the rest of this round here, we got Tank Bigsby going to TDS. I think he's probably insurance for ETN. I don't foresee a huge future for Bigsby, but this is the third round, so you take these shots, right?
I mean, you're buying handcuffs at this point. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty productive in college.
Yeah, he was.
In the SEC on a team that didn't really have much beside him, so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a chance that Etienne gets hurt and he's actually good.
Yep. And then we had Chase Brown to Dove. 5'9", 215.
Really handcuff on what probably going to be in lead offense for the next decade.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you get any running back who's actually going to be on the field for the Bengals, it's gonna be nice. And then you got Omlinator going Tank Dell, who I know Tank Dell's really undersized, but I really liked his film. I think he's fun. He's a high flyer. There's a chance that some safety is going to send him to the shadow realm for being 165, but
the thing I liked about him, I think everyone likes about him, is that the Texans drafted him because Stroud specifically told them,
yeah,
I want Tank Dell.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I started.
They hit it off at the combine, so chemistry already.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Omlinator went and grabbed him. This one was just a pure, like, loving the talent type pick here too with Darnell Washington. First of all, that was my boy. He kept falling in the draft. I remember saying to Mio a while ago that I really wanted him in Miami.
You did.
Yeah, 6'7", 264 out of Georgia. The dude looks like just massive. And yeah, for whatever reason, I didn't super follow along.
He doesn't have a pass catching profile, but that was also a team that had Brock Bowers. So
yeah, they
it might be in his skill set. We just don't know it.
Yeah, there was something going on with his physical or something.
Yeah.
On draft day.
Yeah, that's what people are saying, was that he had some medical thing.
Yeah, so he ended up going 93 overall when a lot of people thought he might be a first round pick. And then he goes like potentially behind Freiermuth, and that really sucks because Freiermuth is good and young. I hope he does well in the NFL. I think he probably will, but yeah.
Even if he's not good in fantasy, I think he'll be good in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he will too.
Just because it seems like the league is moving more towards these like tight ends.
Yeah.
And you can like they're useful in the running game and the passing game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of have to be now.
So.
And then this next pick, I know you're really proud of this one. This is
I worked really hard for it, just sitting there.
Sitting at 306, we had Tyjae Spears. And I remember pre-draft process-wise, people were talking about him going right after like Charbonnet, like being like the fourth running back. But I think the fact that he ended up in Tennessee is where everyone's like really freaked out. And also there was all this news like right before the draft about like, oh, he's got like knee arthritis already and will only play like 4 seasons or something. And like people don't know what's going on with that.
Apparently he doesn't have an ACL.
Yeah. Well, you can't tear your ACL if you don't have one, right?
I don't know. He was, I think back in like March, I posted on Twitter a clip of Tyjae Spears. It said something like, "Can't wait to overdraft this guy."
Yep.
So I was thrilled. I was thrilled to get him.
Yeah, I think he's very talented.
I thought Jay Neihart was going to take him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Washington went off the board. And like I just smashed draft, and then I went to my trades tab, and you had offered me like a trade.
Oh yeah, I was trying to trade up into here. I actually was trying to trade up for my pick I got later though, not Spears.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
And we'll talk about him in a second, but yeah.
Huh.
But I was interested in Spears too. I am a little freaked out about just the knee crap that they were talking about with him.
Yeah, I mean, he was a third-round pick. I forget what running back he was off the board, like the 6th running back off the board.
Yeah, I think 5th or 6th or something.
But like he went before Vaughn and Evans
and Roschon
and Chase Brown, who are all getting drafted in our draft ahead of him.
Yeah,
and like I get it because like Chicago's a team that's offense has gone the way up, and Dallas is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bengals are good, and Tennessee I don't think anyone really has high expectations for, but
yeah, it could be.
I think he's a better player.
Yeah, I think the Tannehill Henry era is going to end really soon, and the question is who's still there afterwards. And then we had TDS going out and getting the best defensive player for fantasy this year, Will Anderson. So, I mean, good for you.
I don't know. I kind of feel like our league, I don't want to say undervalues defensive players, but I don't think any of us really know how to properly value them.
Yeah. It is hard, too, because, like, I remember this one time me and D Money got into an argument because he was like, yeah, like, linebackers score too many points. Like, they're too valuable. And he had none of them on his team. And I was like, if they're so valuable, why do you feel like you can just drop them all and then pick people up at the beginning of the year? And he was like, touche, and like, shut up about it. But yeah, they're like simultaneously, like they score a lot, but they also, there's so many that there's not a scarcity problem. So there's a weird dynamic there.
It's like running backs in the real NFL.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yeah, Will Anderson. I mean, I don't doubt that he's going to be really, really good. Jay Neihart next went Kayshon Boutte, however you want to say it. He was really interesting because I think last year he was projected to be like a top, like, first round type of talent at LSU. I don't know what happened with him, but
he had like an amazing freshman year, and then I don't know if he got lazy or what. And he said he was going back to school. Then he declared for the draft afterwards, and there were rumors that like it was because he got in trouble in school, so they're going to kick him off the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he goes to the combine, he tests terribly, so it's like, okay, clearly there's some off the field stuff going on.
Yeah, there was something going on, and so he ended up going really late. But he goes to the Patriots, so we'll see if they can straighten him out or whatever. But
I'm not optimistic. I remember there was an interview with Rick Spielman, who was the GM for the Vikings whenever they drafted Diggs and Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the number one thing they looked for was basically like work ethic. Like they didn't like care about athleticism as much as they cared about work ethic.
Interesting.
And like he's got some stuff that shows he has work ethic problems. So I'm not very optimistic, but
yeah, we'll see.
It's also the 3-8.
Yep.
You know.
So I think
these are guys that like there's a 50% chance if you don't draft them, you can grab them on waivers.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. My two guys here, I think I had 309 and I think I traded the 310.
You did. You traded for the 310. You traded Keontae Ingram for the 310.
Yeah. So I really, really wanted these two guys at the back of the draft. And the
one of them I agree with you with, and the other one I don't. So.
Okay, interesting. So the first one is Cedric Tillman, and he was a third-round pick. He went 74 in the draft. He's massive out of Tennessee, and he goes to a team that has, I think, a lot of opportunity for receivers to step up. So that's just a shot in the dark of like, hey, I think he could probably be the number 2 to Amari Cooper if he's any good. And I don't super love Deshaun Watson as a well, first of all, as a human, but second of all, as a player. So I don't know if he's gonna bounce back.
2 years, not playing for 2 years will do that.
Yeah, and so I felt like he was someone who I could see a path forward for him to step up and do something. And then the second guy I took as Breece's handcuff. I really, really like Izzy. I don't even know how you pronounce his last name, like Abanikanda or something.
I heard Abanikanda, but
okay,
I mean.
Yeah. But anyway, I liked his tape, and I was hoping he would end up somewhere good, so I could be more excited about him. But he ended up right behind Breece. So I was like, you know what? Just in case Breece doesn't, like the ACL thing doesn't work out this year, I need to draft him. So that's why I went and traded up to 310.
All right, which of those two do you think I like?
I think you probably like the Izzy pick and don't like Tillman.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah. You just don't like Tillman as a talent?
He's okay as a talent.
Okay.
But I'm a bit of an Elijah Moore truther.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so there's like Elijah Moore, they got They got David Bell last year, who I don't believe in really. They have Amari Cooper still. So there's like a whole bunch of guys who are like question marks outside of Amari, I feel like.
Who's on the team? We got Amari Cooper, David Bell, and Marquise Goodwin. When that happened?
I don't know.
And they had Njoku still. So.
Yeah. But yeah, did you liked Izzy's tape too?
Well, he's big and he's fast.
Yeah.
And he kind of felt like he would just sort of just run into the line. He's kind of a bit like Pacheco.
Yeah, I see a similarity there too.
Where he's not like the more finesse stuff he's not good at, but number one, he's a breeze handcuff. Number two, Pacheco's valuable. Good offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, New Look Jets, why can't they be a great offense?
I mean, yeah, hopefully not for my AFC East problems.
And you can sort of, it's easier to get better at playing running back than it is to become bigger or faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Abanikanda was he was the guy on my board. Like if he had gotten to 312, I would have taken him, but it wasn't.
Yep. And so TDS, I think, got a screaming value here. I was actually kind of sad I couldn't draft this guy too, but Sam Laporta, I actually really, really liked his tape, and he went second round, right? Like pretty early second round.
Pretty sure he went. I think he was like the third tight end off the board, but
yeah, he's another Iowa guy. All these Iowa tight ends ended up pretty good.
And I think we talked about this a bit with Gibbs, but Detroit was like a top 5 offense by every metric last year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, they got a lot better.
If he can get a roll, then he could smash, especially at 311.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a total dart throw by TDS, but getting him that late was pretty crazy. Because he was drafted around the same time as Michael Mayer. So, yeah. And then Mio, last pick, Dwayne McBride. Any thoughts on Dwayne McBride?
They're going to cut Dalvin Cook.
True.
Well, maybe he gets the job, maybe he doesn't. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's literally the last pick. If you're taking a running back, you're going to take a handcuff.
Yep. YOLO. Why not?
I know what I was going to take. Eric Gray.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, there wasn't. I was actually surprised no one went for any of the Eagles defensive players just because of all the Eagles fans we have. Like Jalen Carter or Nolan Smith or somebody.
I don't know. Part of it is that, like, Nolan Smith is going to be, like, he's not going to produce right away because we still have Brandon Graham and Sweat and Hassan Reddick. Like, he's going to be a rotation guy.
Yeah,
and Jalen Carter, DTs don't really get numbers other than Chris Jones and Aaron Donald.
All right, so out of our league, who would you say had the best draft / offseason? Who do you think got a lot better?
I think you inherently have to say that Impervious got better because he got Bijan.
Yes, that is true.
And you inherently have to say D-Money got better because he got A-Rich.
Yeah, I think Impervious had a really good draft. I think he had a good draft last year too. And I think
obviously, like when you have like the one slot, like
right.
I hope you have a good draft.
Yeah, he hung on to it.
You have problems if you don't have a good draft from the one slot, but
yeah, I would say I think team that got a lot better was LaMarvelous for sure.
Yeah, LaMarvelous got a lot better.
He got his team doesn't look anything like it did last year. He got Bryce. I don't remember him. He got Najee recently, I think. He got ETN recently, I think, as well. I know he got Metcalf recently.
Yeah, he got Metcalf. We talked about this for the 108 for a strap for Stroud.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's got Pacheco now. He's got Geno as a second QB, and that, like, while it feels okay right now, it could be questionable later. And
I think he's gonna. make the playoffs. He feels like a make the playoffs first round exit team to me.
You
But
hear
thing
that,
with the
Lamar's first round
playoffs,
exit?
the thing with the playoffs is, you get in and
Pretty much everyone gets in. It's fun right now.
you got lucky 3 times when you're the champ. Like,
Mm-hmm. And I'll say it because I know you're not going to say it, but Mio got a lot better. He got Lamarvelous. Or Lamarvelous. Oh my gosh. He got Lamar Jackson. he got Jamar Chase recently. He got Tyreek this offseason. He got Kamara from me. And Trevor Lawrence. Did you get Trevor Lawrence during last season?
I got him last preseason.
Last preseason, yeah. So, yeah.
You don't remember that trade?
I think
like twice a year. You're like, oh man, I was looking through old trades. You really ripped them off.
Oh yeah, it's that trade. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna look at it right now just for funsies. Oh yeah, this trade is gross, dude. Just everybody peek your eyes at this. This is Trevor Lawrence, Amon-Ra. I think we talked about this in the last pod, but yeah, Trubisky, Dobbins, Wilson, Trace Sermon, Snoop Connor. That is Barf City. It's basically just Dobbins in there. That is it. So yeah, to go out and get one of the best receivers and one of the best QBs and a second round pick. I mean, yeah, that one's nasty. So yeah, I would say you got a lot better. I'd say Lamarvelous got a lot better.
Anderson, I thought was good last year, but I mean, he's pretty terrifying now.
Yeah, Anderson continues to slowly creep up and get better and better and better. And I do not like that he's got Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields because I feel like that could be like actually nuclear this year. I feel like I would not be surprised if they were the number 1 and 2 fantasy QBs this year. Like they might both run for 1,000 yards and yeah.
And I know at one point where he traded me Chase for JT.
I'm really surprised he did that. By the way, I'm just gonna say it.
Surprised. But I had to give him Higgins too.
That's true. That's true.
I thought it was a fair trade.
Yeah, I think it was fair. I was just surprised. There's a few guys in the league who like there's pretty much no way I'd trade them, and I think Jamar Chase is on that list for me.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor was on that list for me.
Yeah.
Like his Jameson Williams, Alec Pierce, and Traylon Burks on the bench.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Now, Kansas, I feel like Kansas always is very quietly very good. He doesn't like have a world-beating roster, but like he's quietly got some dudes.
Who's the second QB right now? Oh, it's Love or Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Garoppolo.
I feel like I'm really excited to watch Jordan Love this year. I'm so excited.
Can you imagine if he's good?
If he's like really good?
Can you imagine if he looks better than Rodgers? I would die.
That would be so funny.
I would die.
He's never looked bad. Like he came in, didn't he come in last year and go like, yeah, he had a touchdown and like 100 yards in one game last year.
Like 2 years ago, he came in and looked bad. But like,
oh really? Okay.
Last year, he came and him and Christian Watson. I specifically remember a game where he torched Reed Blankenship. Like I thought the game was over, and then like Love came in and started like tearing it up, and I'm like, oh no, we're gonna blow this.
Yep.
We didn't, but
all right. So, who would you say had a questionable draft or some questionable moments this offseason?
Giving up all that for Hendon Tucker, I just can't.
Yeah. I think the two things, at least from draft, are like very recent. The DK Metcalf Pacheco trade is going to go down as one of those ones that I think I remember for a little while. And then, I mean, I'm gonna remember the Jonathan Mingo trade for sure too, right after the draft. I think that was probably a good move, but it was just it was a funny move. Yeah, I think
it's a good salt creation move.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that's gonna that's going to really change how I see this draft is how good CJ Stroud is. I think CJ Stroud is going to be either a big piece of TDS's future or one of the worst things that ever happened to him.
Yeah, I feel like Brandon Johnson, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, and Charbonnet are sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
and a Shane. Akne, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I feel like how those guys turn out is going to determine how we look back on this draft.
Yeah.
Unless, like, A-Rich is terrible, in which case...
Oh, dude, if Richardson is bad... I was thinking a little bit in my head, I was like, you know what? While QJ and Richardson have so much upside, I do think there's a world where they both bust, and that'd be really just funny to look back on D-Money's draft with, if that does happen.
There's a chance Charbonnet will bust, in which case...
Yeah. I think Charbonnet, like, there's just not a huge ceiling for right now unless Walker gets hurt, but yeah. But yeah, that was kind of all my thoughts on that stuff. I think for future episodes, we're probably going to go through and talk about individual divisions and invite you guys to come on the podcast and give your takes on your division and who you think will win out, and who will get first seed and second seed and all that stuff. And we'll talk a lot about power rankings going into the year and stuff. Because it's the dead time of the year. It's a little boring right now, so we're trying to find some fun stuff to talk about. So I think starting to look at the power rankings and all that stuff will be really fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on the draft?
Hopefully in the future we can all pull together to fly Dove out.
Yes.
And then get all 12 of us at a table.
Well, I think Lamarvelous is moving. He's moving to Maryland, so he's going to come next year. So that'll be one more. So at that point, we're only missing Kansas and you, I think, and then that'll be everybody.
Yeah, and I won't have family stuff going on next year. We hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good draft. It was a good draft.
Yeah, I think it was a good draft too. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the second edition of the FFL pod. Of course, make sure everyone watches this. This is very important for our league. It's the most important thing that we do, obviously. So, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the podcast. Me and Mia will do more episodes and have you guys on to talk about some of your teams and stuff. But yeah, good draft.
All right. See you guys later.
See ya.